Here's a really common exercise related to perpendicular lines. So let's see if we can solve it. It says find a line perpendicular to y equals 2x minus 9 that goes through the point negative 4, 1. So let's see. First of all, let me just give a rough sketch of what 2x minus 9 would roughly look like. So it'll look roughly, something kind of like this, a y-intercept of way down here at negative 9, positive slope of 2, which means you go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. And then it says our line, though, actually goes through the point negative 1, 2, 3, 4, comma, positive 1. So our line goes through the yellow dot, but is perpendicular to this blue line. So it would have to look something kind of like, let's see if we can figure this out here, kind of like this, or close to it. Because you'll notice that not only does it go through the yellow dot, but it also meets the blue line at a 90-degree angle. All right, so how are we going to find the equation of this green line here? Well, a good place to start would just be the equation of any line. And so that's usually where we start problems that ask for the equation of such and such line. Is we'll start with y equals mx plus b, because we know that's what our answer has to look like. And this narrows down our work to only having to determine m and b. So let's start with the m. If we're given the equation of the blue line, then we should be able to figure out the equation of our line, because we know how perpendicular slopes are related to one another. So if the slope of the blue line is 2, here we'll call that m1 is 2, then what's the slope of the other line, the second line? Well, in an earlier video we explained that the slope of a perpendicular line was the negative reciprocal of the other line. So we're going to change the sign. So in our case, since it's positive, we'll make ours negative. And since it's 2 over 1 for the blue line, we'll put 1 over 2 for our line. So it's the negative reciprocal. Now, just as a side note, if the slope of the blue line had been negative, then the slope of our perpendicular line would be positive. They just have to have the opposite sign. And the reason that we can say negative reciprocal is if the slope of the blue line was negative, then really a negative would actually be positive. And so these will just have differing sign, opposite signs, and they'll be the reciprocal of each other. So that's our m. This is our m. So we can rewrite our equation, take the m out, and write y equals negative 1/2 x plus b. Now the only thing we don't know at this point is the b. And currently we have 3 unknowns. There's the y, the x, and the b. Now the y and the x will stay variables, but the b should be a constant. So let's see, are there any x, y values that we know that are on the equation of the green line, maybe that we could substitute in an ordered pair x, y just for a little while so we can solve for the b? Well, yes, absolutely. They tell us that our green line has to go through the point negative 4, 1, which means we should be able to plug in negative 4 for x and 1 for y, and that would make the equation true. It's on the graph, which means this ordered pair is a solution to our equation. So let's plug in 1 for y, and we'd have negative 1/2 times negative 4, that's your x, plus b. This equation was simplified to 1 equals, let's see, negative 1/2 times negative 4 makes positive 2. That's a negative times a negative is a positive, and a half times 4 would be 2, of course, plus b. Plus b. So our b, if we subtract 2 from both sides, would give us negative 1. So earlier we found our m, negative 1/2, and we just discovered what our b value is, our y-intercept of our line, our perpendicular line. So we're done. We have our answer. So the answer would be y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1. And there's a couple things you can do to check your work. On the one hand, you can look at his slope. His slope is negative 1/2. The slope of the blue line was positive 2. Those are negative reciprocals of each other, so they are perpendicular. And as an added bonus, it also goes through the point negative 4, 1, because if you plug in negative 4 times negative 1/2 is positive 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So it goes through the point that we need, and it has the slope that we need.